This is what makes this podcast different, okay? I originally came onto this podcast or day with an opinion in my mind. I'm like, you know what? I don't like the Minnesota Vikings' chances tonight. A short week on the road in Los Angeles, and not that they have much of a home fan base. More Minnesota Vikings fans will probably be there. But short week, and you're traveling. Blake Cashman out with turf toe. The most important player on the Minnesota Vikings defense this year. 40 tackles, 20 solo tackles, 1 sack, gone. I think he has 1 pick too, just gone. Which means the Minnesota Vikings defense needs to make massive adjustments, and those adjustments didn't really fan out well against the Detroit Lions. 4 straight possessions, touchdown, 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 all over 68-yard drives. They just moved up and down the field. So that was reason number 1 why I thought Vikings would lose this game. Reason number 2, TJ Hawkinson's going to still not be available to play, it appears. Dalton Risner will probably not play, which means that the worst right guard in football, Ed Ingram, is still going to be playing right guard. So that's not a good thing. So that's another reason why I thought the Minnesota Vikings would lose this football game. But as I look deeper into this game, and as I prepared for the show, as I was looking at the Rams and what they've done and who they've got and who's injured, who's not, Cooper Kupp's back. Another reason why I thought the Minnesota Vikings might lose this football game. But again, as I was saying, you look a little bit deeper and you look at who the Rams got, who they've played this year. Let's just look at the Rams and their schedule so far this year via ESPN.com, the Ocho. All right. So they're 2-4. They lost to the Lions 26-20 in overtime. They lost to the Cardinals 41-10. They beat the 49ers 27-24. Lost to the Bears 24-18. Lost to the Green Bay Packers 24-19. And beat the Las Vegas Raiders last week 20-15. The number one thing that jumps out to me about their schedule is their lack of points. Now, they haven't had Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua for quite a few weeks, so you need to take that into consideration. But they still don't have Puka Nacua. And Cooper Kupp's coming back. He's 31 years old. He's still a big weapon on their team. But it's not like he's prime Cooper Kupp either. They scored 20 against the Raiders. They scored 19 against the Packers. They scored 18 against the Bears. They put up 27 on the Niners. They scored 10 against the Cardinals and 20 against the Detroit Lions. They've only scored more than 21 points this season one time in their 27-24 win over the Niners. Even though the Minnesota Vikings don't have their star linebacker Blake Cashman, they still have a massive advantage defensively over the Los Angeles Rams. And here's also why that's true. You take a look at what the Rams have. And, you factor in the Minnesota Vikings injuries, who's not playing, Cashman, all those boys. But you got to look at the Rams side, too. And I got this courtesy of Vikings.com. It says, Los Angeles Rams injured reserve list is littered with contributors, including a handful of week 1 starters on offense. Left tackle Joseph Noteboom, left guard Steve Avila, center Jonah Jackson, and wide receiver Puka Nacua. You're looking at 3 starting offensive linemen that are unavailable to play for the Rams in this ballgame. So that's a big reason why the Rams offense has struggled to score points this season. They can't block for Matthew Stafford, which means that guys like Jonathan Greenard, Patrick Jones, the Minnesota Van Ginkel, these guys should have big games tonight against the Rams, even though it's a short week and they're traveling on the road. The Rams have so many injuries on the offensive line that the Minnesota Vikings defense should be able to have a field day. Now, the one thing that the Rams do have is Kyren Williams. He's a good football player. He's probably their biggest X factor offensively right now with all of their injuries. He's played in 6 games. He's got 8 touchdowns. He's been given the ball 116 times rushing, and he has 436 rushing yards. Does he have any catches? He's got 14 catches for 71 yards too. So he's a little multi-dimensional for the Rams. And they've got Sean McVay. They've got offensive masterminds. They've got Matthew Stafford, the gunslinger, but they're missing some big chess pieces in order to win this football game. Now, the Rams are playing for something. They're 2-4, but the Seattle Seahawks lead the division at 4-3. And you win against the Vikings, you're 3-4, and you still play the Seattle Seahawks twice. So they're still in the division. They still care a lot about this game, which also factored into the reason why I thought the Vikings could lose this game by a field goal. But it's not like the Rams have a sensational defense either. You run through the schedule that I was looking at. They gave up 26 to the Lions, 41 to the Cardinals, 24 to the Niners, 24 to the Bears, 24 to the Packers, and 15 to the Las Vegas Raiders. It's not like they're just locking these teams down and they're winning 16-13 or losing 13-16. Every team besides the Raiders has put up at least 24 points, and the Cardinals put up 41 on them. So scoring should not be a problem for the Minnesota Vikings tonight. With Justin Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Aaron Jones, seems like he's playing. This should be a good bounce-back game for the Minnesota Vikings in getting a win on the road, advancing to 6-1. All things point towards a Minnesota Vikings win. Vikings are favored by 2.5 points via odds, and that's not a high number, but they're still favored. I think they were originally favored at 3, so it dropped to 2.5. But you look at everything, and you consider everything, and you look at all the factors, and I thought Vikings would lose this game by a field goal. But now I'm switching my opinion because I'm not too stubborn to change it and look at the information and see different patterns and different factors and all that kind of junk. So I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to win. And my prediction is going to be 24-17. Vikings advance to 6-1 and get a massive win after their first loss against the Detroit Lions on Sunday. So that's my prediction. Deal with it.